What's up fellow hunters, Nox here, welcome to another exciting build video. Today we're going to talk about an amazing Dragonheart build that can be used with any Valstrax melee weapon. We're going to see a non-augmented version first that is super easy to make, and a upgraded version with augments right after to show how crazy this build really gets. Let's go. Draconic Force. I'll show a few examples on how to use the build with other weapons later in the video. For now, I'm just going to use Switch Axe to demonstrate. Since a big part of our focus is elemental damage here, we of course have Dragon Attack level 5. Then we have Element Exploit to increase our elemental damage by 10% when attacking weak spots, along with Burst, which increases the element and raw damage further when landing continuous hits. And then we have the two core skills of this build, Dragonheart and Dragon Conversion. These two have an insanely powerful synergy going on. With everything active, my Dragon Attack went from 96 all the way up to 217. That is more than double the element. To understand how to get these crazy numbers, we need to take a look at how Dragonheart and Dragon Conversion work together. When our health is at 80% or less, Dragonheart will inflict us with Dragon Blight. It then sets all of our elemental resistances to 50, which is the maximum, giving us an overall total of 250. We also get a 10% boost to raw attack, which is really nice. This is where things already cross over into the Dragon Conversion skill. On the red scroll, Dragon Conversion takes all our elemental resistance and counts it together. Then 25% of that total number gets converted into whatever element we are using at the time, and all the element resistance is set to 0. This means the plus 50 we get to every single stat from Dragonheart automatically get turned into a huge element attack boost. In this case, that would be 25% of 250, giving us an additional 63 element because the number gets rounded up, which is absolutely massive. The secondary skill from Dragonheart that is connected to the blue scroll can be ignored completely, meaning we don't have to worry about switching scrolls here at all. With that explained, back to the build. We have one more thing that also factors into the element synergy, the Valstrax Soul decoration in the Rampage slot. This will add another 20% dragon element as long as we have Dragon Blight. This plays a big part in our damage as well. Aside from the big elemental skill synergy, we have a bunch of other damage factors that will always be in the build, no matter which weapon we choose. We will always have at least attack boost level 5, max weakness exploit, and some critical boost. You'll see later on that we can add additional affinity skills into the build as needed. Latent Power is there as a bonus as well to add 20% affinity on top whenever it's active. Intrepid Heart is an absolute must-have for this build. Having built-in stun resistance is great here as well, but you can remove it with augmenting if you have no need for it. Like I said in the beginning, this build can be adapted to any Valstrax melee weapon you want to use. All of the weapon-specific skills come from decorations or the Talisman, which in this example would be Rapid Morph, Evade Extender, and Power Prolonger for Switch Axe. All that and more can be replaced for whatever else you might need for your weapon of choice. The biggest augment recommendation is simply going for levels of Dragonheart and additional slots. Any level of Dragonheart you get as an augment will replace one of the Dragon Spirit decorations, giving you a free level 4 slot. That in turn opens up tons of customizing options, which we'll see in a moment. Now we're going to take a look at the version with augments to see how crazy the potential of this build really is. We'll get to what exactly my augments are in a moment as well. I'm sure you could tell by a single look that this thing becomes absolutely ridiculous. The first thing I did was max out attack boost and then add Resuscitate. This will give us another damage skill that factors into the synergy. Resuscitate will give us an additional 20 attack whenever we have an abnormal status, meaning it will automatically be active thanks to the Dragon Blight we get from Dragonheart. And as a nice bonus, this will be active immediately once we enter a fight, thanks to Bloodlust, which is the next thing I added into the build. Bloodlust itself will give us 20% additional affinity and can make it easier to activate Dragonheart as soon as possible. Aside from that, I added Defiance for some extra comfort, and I have Powder Mantle as a passive damage output. This is what my current augments are looking like. The main thing I went for was extra levels of Dragonheart and 1 level of Bloodlust. That gave me the best flexibility. I got lucky with the headpiece, but aside from that there's nothing really impressive here, so you can make the build even better. None of these augments are actually necessary, but I do recommend going for at least 1 or 2 levels of Dragonheart if you can. That shouldn't be a problem since Dragonheart seems to be a surprisingly common augment. Bloodlust was just a personal choice, but it fits the build very well. Aside from that, everything else will be bonuses and up to you. As mentioned at the start, I'm gonna show a few examples of using the build with other weapons. Here's what my setup looks like when using dual blades. I switched to a critical eye based Talisman and then pushed the affinity as high as I want it to be. Next I maxed out critical boost and burst. Then I of course added some more element based skills. I even went for some extra latent power just because I was trying some stuff out. Otherwise I would use that slot to add 2 levels of coalescence to go with Bloodlust. Another example here is Longsword, which I really enjoy using with the build. For the affinity, I chose to go with maximum might. Together with Bloodlust, that puts us at 100% affinity on weak spots. Then we of course have maxed out Quick Sheath as well as Wirebug Whisperer, both for its undeniable value on Longsword. Aside from that, I added Coalescence as a bonus damage source. Something really nice to have when using this with Longsword would be one level of Wind Mantle. One thing to keep in mind is that the synergy of this build is fantastic, but it also has two limitations. For one, this will only work with Dragon Element, because having Dragon Blight will set any element attack to 0 if it is not Dragon. And secondly, we have to maintain 80% health or less to keep the synergy going. Anomaly afflicted monsters are the reason why that can become difficult at times. As soon as they hit us, we are affected with Bloodblight, and while that's active, all of our attacks will give us health back. Normally, that would of course be a great thing, but since we're trying to stay at 80% health or less, that can make our damage inconsistent. Make sure to check out the other builds for all kinds of weapons on the channel so you don't miss anything you might enjoy. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.